Reddit, what is the most F-up way you got back at someone that wronged you? Throwaways encouraged. A school bully repeatedly knocked a binder from my best friend's hands every single day while we walked down the hall. Now we were in high school back in the pre-Columbine era, so people didn't freak out as often when kids did F-ups. I convinced my friend to stick tacks through an entire side of his binder, turning it into an extremely dangerous spiked weapon, and just hold on extra tight while waiting for the bully to come do his thing. The kid lacerated his hand pretty badly. After he slammed his hand down into it, my friend held on and yanked back. Jackass didn't try that again. I moved around a lot as a kid. Dad in the army. Parents divorced. Not staying in one place made long-term friendships impossible. But my situation attracted bullies like flies. I moved to a new school. A bully picked up my scent instantly. Tripping and shoving. Making fun of my clothes. Nothing too terrible, but I was already unhappy, so I felt miserable anyway. One school day, I asked to use the restroom. I passed by said bully on the way into the bathroom. He actually didn't do anything to me this time. When I entered the restroom, someone was in the only stall, crapping on the floor. I walked out of the bathroom, disgusted, ready to tell on him. I was 7 at the time. I was ready to re-enter my classroom when an incredible, yet devious idea came to me. I went straight to my bully's classroom and walked inside. Everyone looked at me, which normally would have given me enough hesitation to turn me 180 and back to class. But that day, I didn't so much as pause. I walked up to the teacher's desk, pointed at my tormentor and boldly proclaimed that he had S on the bathroom floor. The teacher's reaction was better than I could have ever expected for me. She made him follow her into the restroom while he cried and slobbered out, "I didn't do it. He's lying," over and over again. She then grabbed a wad of paper towel, handed it to him, and we watched as he picked it up and put it into the commode. She thanked me for telling her and told me to go back to my classroom. This happened about 20 years ago. I still look back at this moment as a turning point in my life. Like I became me then. At an all-male military boarding school during high school, there was this huge douche on my hall. We took his Febreze bottle and filled it with piss. Then took said bottle and sprayed his pillow, wall locker and opposite corner. So he gets back, smells urine, and immediately grabs his Febreze and douses everything. Eat AD, Donovan. Eat AD. My ex-girlfriend Pepper sprayed some guy's D for cheating on her. Apparently the only way he could cool it off was sticking it in a jar of mayonnaise, in case anyone else's D is ignited by Pepper's in the future. This thread equals Count of Monte Cristo. My then high school girlfriend was a total B, and wanted me to abandon all of my friends, would always try to bring me down, etc etc etc. When I got fed up, I broke up with her on picture day. She took them, but her mascara was everywhere. 2 days later, I told her that I was sorry, blah blah, and I wanted to get back together. She liked having someone to walk on, so of course she said yes. I then broke up with her again on retake day. F nailed it. Slow clap. My friend got roofied and raped by a frat F about a decade ago at a local high-toned university. Despite a shitton of evidence, he was never arrested, never expelled, never had to face any sort of penalty for this, and managed to get my friend labeled AS, who totally wanted it and was now only pretending it was rape because he wouldn't break up with his girlfriend for her. Pretty charming guy, really. I put capsicum extract in his eye drops. My reaction to your post. Skeptical smiley face, shocked face. I had a friend in high school who became an A during our senior year. There were a bunch of little things that added up to our friendship falling apart, but at the worst of it I pooped on his car one night. Real simple, I just crawled up on the hood of his car and took AS on his windshield. I just knew that he'd walk outside the next day and think, what the F is this? Fun fact, we're actually great friends again now. He still has no idea it was me. The phantom pooper strikes again. I had a louder apartment neighbor that was always causing problems. My wife got fed up one night when him and his drunk friends were wrestling in the parking lot while making a ton of noise and called the cops. This was an angry drunk Mexican that decided to retaliate for the cops getting called by breaking my antenna off my car as soon as the cops leave. I fumed about the antenna for a week or so when the D came back home drunk again at 6 a.m. again waking me up as he thundered up the stairs. It wasn't till a couple hours later we noticed he left his keys in the door of his apartment. I snuck up the stairs and took his keys right out of the lock and chucked them in a ditch a block away. The best part was hearing him storm around tearing his place up looking for them. You could hear the prick moving furniture and his truck had 2 separate alarms, and after he lost his remotes he had to replace both of them. I regret nothing. My first high school BF was not very good with grades, so he asked me to make him a fake report so he could show his parents and not get into trouble. He also cheated on me with my best friend and dumped me. He then promised to get back with me if I forged the report for him. I agreed up until the day when we were meant to get our reports for school. I told him I didn't do it. He got bashed by his dad when he got home for the string of D's and F's. I went to school with someone who was a real D. He bullied me a substantial amount and eventually I got fed up with it. One day when we were in the library, I saw him log on. As he went to access his emails, I snuck a look at the keyboard and noticed his password. Lo and behold, the idiot used his name and a number and that was it. Cue creeper time. When I went home I had a quick look through his emails. I noticed a rather interesting discussion between himself and a friend of his. To cut a long story short, his mother had convinced Centrelink, unemployment benefits in Australia, maybe elsewhere, I don't know, that he had a learning disability in order to claim more money. I forward this email archive along with his password to Centrelink. They probably couldn't directly access his email account due to red tape, however, I think someone must have done it off the books. A few weeks later at school I hear that Bob's family was getting taken to court and being forced to pay back all the excess money that was claimed under false circumstances. I don't know how it ended up as I graduated before the case was settled, but I know they had to pay back several $1,000s at the least. TLDR, guy was AD in school. Checked his emails, he pretended to have learning disability to claim money, forwarded to welfare office, they win up suing his and he has to pay them back. If he used his name as his password, maybe he did have a learning disability. I've posted this before but couldn't resist. My older brother, who was in high school and 1.5 feet taller at the time, threw me into the ceiling and let me drop to the floor. So for the next year or so I would wait until he would leave the house, and go into his closet and pee in his shoes. I didn't tell him for around 20 years, but when I did he said, "You little bastard, I could never figure out why my feet always smelt so bad." I can't decide whether OP is creepily brilliant, or brilliantly creepy. No resulting suicides, violent provocation, I'm going with creepily brilliant. My so-called best friend in primary school stole my shiny Pokémon cards. I was only 6 or so at the time, but that didn't stop me from being a sadistic little first grader, and having older brothers. Well, let's just say I knew how things worked. Guess who found out the truth about Santa, the Tooth Fairy and the Power Rangers all at once? Don't F with 6-year-old me. Law of the playground at work. I hope it wasn't a Charizard. I've never been much of a fighter, but I had my day. I was driving on Port St. Lucie Boulevard and this truck was tailgating me like I've never seen. I really thought he was going to hit me. I pulled over to let him pass, and he gets in front of me and starts hitting his brakes. I pulled into a convenience store to get away, and he gets out. I'm a big guy, but this dude was a bear, towering over me. As soon as I sensed he was going to swing on me after I asked what his problem was, I gave him a quick jab to the throat and watched all 400+ pounds barrel into the ground. I quickly ran back to my car and sped away before he got up and ate me. After reading through these comments, it's obvious to me that most of you need better friends. We're on Reddit, leave us alone. There was a kid who apparently had a knack for spreading some pretty viscous rumors about me. I took a while to contemplate the most appropriate revenge, but he died in a fiery car crash before I could give him a Roman helmet. Not me, but one of my coworkers at a restaurant was fooling around and hit one of the cooks in the head with a tomato or a piece of dough or something. Either way, when the culprit went to leave work, the cook was on top of the roof and dumped a bucket of water on his head as he walked out the door. A couple of years ago I had a boyfriend who was emotionally and verbally abusive to me. This boyfriend was also several inches shorter than me. I'm 5 feet 9 inches and he is 5 feet 3 inches. One day I got so fed up with him I put all of his favorite foods in the pantry above the stove, a place a man of his diminutive stature could not reach. You have been visited by the hangover pupper. Comment: do a recover, pupper, and you will never suffer from hangover again.